time is your most valuable asset. I want to say for everybody, because we're not going to get the
Yeah.
time back. We can get our money back. We can get even our energy back. But when it comes to time, you're not going to get that back. So I learned this pretty early on when I felt like I need to manage my time better because I ended up feeling like I was just doing busy work, and it was still profitable work, but it also ended up leading into some burnout, some adrenal fatigue. And I had to get really clear on like, how am I going to utilize my time in the most valuable way?
Hello, hello, hello. I am Dr. Andrea Greiner.
And I'm Katie Corbin.
Welcome to the Dreams to Dollars podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs and professionals who are on their way to actualizing their dreams into reality.
Join us in this lighthearted and unique podcast where we talk about business, success, life, and building a deeper trust in God and the universe.
We are here to elevate the conversation and bring the magic to build your legacy.
We're excited for you to be here. Can't wait to dive in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're going to talk about transcending time in your business today. It's such a good topic. We love to talk about it, mainly because I think Katie and I love to create simplicity and flow for our clients and have these conversations where what is transcending time in your business? What does that look like? What does it feel like when you're not doing that? And how can you add so that you are and you feel really like grounded in what you're creating in your business? That's what we love. I mean, we love that grounded place, still lots of creative flow, still lots of money flow, like expansion, all of that goodness. And the sidetrack that we want to start with is like that feeling of busy. Like, first of all, well, I don't live in the United States, but the United States is all about, we have like badges for busy, right? Busy, 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 busy mom, busy business owner, busy, like busy, busy, busy. And I personally am like, I'm going to go move to Mexico. No, like
Get out of
somewhere
here.
where they have a different kind of busy. But so starting with, are you even feeling a sense of busyness? And if you are feeling that sense of busyness and not feeling like you have a whole lot of time and or a whole lot of money, let's sit down and really kind of hash this out. Because first of all, let's take that busy badge and like throw it out the window. If you're driving, roll your window down, throw it out the window. We don't need a busy badge. Like I see it here in Mexico, I'm like, I don't want a busy badge. I want to be a mother of 3 children and I don't want a busy badge. And a business owner and I don't want a busy badge. So we kind of pride ourselves, if you can't tell, on being busy. And we can even just start with like, what is this creating? Am I creating with this busy? And if not, then we want to start having more conversations of how to really create that time for money.
Yes. And I think time is so relative. Time tends to be like a relative thing because the truth is that we all have the same amount of time in every day. So whether you're in Alaska and you might have a little bit, depending on Andrea, I know you're from Alaska. So depending on the
I know.
year, it's maybe darker. Maybe you
It
don't
just
have as
snowed
much.
in Alaska in May. Oh my God. Yeah.
Right. Or
We're like, get me out of here.
your all daytime. Like it doesn't matter because you
Yeah.
have a certain amount of time in your day and everybody has the same amount of time. And this is where we all are on equality. We all have the same amount of time every dang day. And it's our choice how we manage our time and how we value our time and how we prioritize our time. And I don't know about you guys, but as like a CEO, time is your most valuable asset. I want to say for everybody, because we're not going to get the time back. We can get our money back. We can get even our energy back. But when it comes to time, you're not going to get that back. So I learned this pretty early on when I felt like I need to manage my time better because I ended up feeling like I was just doing busy work, and it was still profitable work, but it also ended up leading into some burnout, some adrenal fatigue. And I had to get really clear on like, how am I going to utilize my time in the most valuable way? And if you're a CEO, right, that's also going to equate to if you're working in your business or on your business, your time needs to be more valuable than $12 an hour. Okay, so here's where we can transcend time and almost delegate out those $10, $12 an hour tasks. when our time is our most valuable asset. Now, if you're starting out and you're like, well, I don't have the ability to pay $12 an hour, well, then you're going to utilize your time. But as you scale and get farther into your business and more successful in your business, those are the things where we can start to transcend our own time and go, this is not worth my time. My time is sort of not in a superiority, but I could be doing more things. 1 hour of your time seeing, clients or doing a meeting or recording a podcast or going on a show, going to an event, like, being on a summit. Those things are more valuable because they're going to ripple bigger effects than sitting down and answering emails, right? Unless the emails are super important or something like that. So we can start to transcend busy time because sometimes it's like the glorification, right? The busy badge or the glorification of being overly busy. But I know quite a few business owners, they're not my clients, but business owners have gone to networking events. Oh, I'm so busy. And they're not making any money. They're just spinning their wheels around this bull crap stuff, like tweaking their logo 15 times when they don't even have clients coming through the door.
Updating
It's
their
like,
sales page a million times. And it's like,
right.
no one's buying. You're like, maybe if I put this word here, people will buy it. No, don't do that, please.
Right. Or just being like, scrolling on TikTok. What is everybody else doing? Oh, I got to get some
I'm working
inspiration.
as I'm scrolling on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
Actually, that's a good place. So, like, I literally, like, that would be the next question is like, what are you doing with your time?
Yeah. What are you doing? And you can even ask,
Are
like,
you considering scrolling on TikTok part of your time? Because I would say, like,
yes. And if you
unless
have
you're doing
no
like
time,
I am doing market research and I'm
right.
looking at these three people and what are they doing for a funnel. That's very different than like,
Yes.
oh, I'm going to follow this, thing. So we're kind of joking, but we
It's,
can convince ourselves that we're working when we're not.
it's easy to do too, right? We're not even saying
Yeah.
like we're not being human here. It's very easy to waste your time because if
Yeah.
you're saying, I don't have any time, but you're utilizing your time in places like I'm watching Netflix or I'm doing these things. Like we all need some time to watch Netflix. I don't watch a lot of TV either, but sometimes you just want to watch a show or there's a new documentary comes out and it's for joy, right? It's not for working.
Yeah. Or
If you,
relaxation, or
right,
yeah, it's like,
right.
yeah,
Or you're
that's okay.
scrolling for relaxation.
Right.
It depends on what you're utilizing, but really having good boundaries around your time and the
Yep.
functioning value. And we always actually can get better and better at this. It's not like we're just birthed out of the birth canal and we just have this high executive function. It's
Excuse me. Speak for yourself. No, I'm just
right.
kidding.
It's it's learned over time for most people, and then you get better at it and better at it and better at it, and you
Yeah.
learn to prioritize what's most important today that I need to get done instead of, well, I need to iron my shirt and you're not using your shirt for 2 years, So it can get
Yeah.
really tricky with this, especially when people can get into, kind of scattered focus and not really having a lot of executive function. But a lot of that stuff is actually habit and learn. It's learned, right?
Yeah.
So you can actually
And
learn
it's
how to
yeah.
create this for yourself.
It's like trainable, it's like recognizing even just where you are without judgment. I'm like, oh yeah, I spent a lot of time texting back and forth with Katie. That's not really working. I have to be like, I'm sorry. We're like, this is funny that we feel a little joking in this conversation, but because it's like, and we're also not going to say there's a right or wrong way, but we think awareness around it is going to really help. Now, I personally am not like a full-on time blocker. Like that to me in my triple gem feels like way too much control. But I start each day with like, what are my priorities for the day? I personally love my planner because I do have, things on the computer. And then I write every day, what are my weekly big tasks that need to get done? What are my daily ones that I need to get done? If I didn't do any from the week before, they get pulled to this week. So I'm not really big and I don't like to feel time blocky, but I know what needs to get done. And I love the checking off. Like I'm a freak. I love the check. Like, yes, I got all those checks.
Yeah, satisfaction.
Satisfaction. Exactly.
And I'm more of a
So,
time blocker. So I'm the opposite of
right.
that when it comes to how
Yeah.
I value my time. I tend to be more, I have more Capricorn in my chart. So if you know anything about astrology, we're also big fans of astrology. and it tends to be more rigid and structured for me to get things done. Now, I'm still not a person that blocks it out every 5 minutes and says, like, I got to get this done and puts myself on a timer or anything like that. So you have to figure out what works for you in terms of the rigidity that you're okay with without rebelling against it. Because a lot of times we can go like, well, Katie time blocks, that didn't work for me. So I need to find another way of doing this so I can have higher executive functioning and I can actually get done what I need to get done. So it's not just put on the burner and nothing ever happens from it.
And I would add that if you find yourself more neurodivergent, this is going to actually really help. If you have text messaging coming in all day long, or you're going to get scattered and kind of lose your focus. I can do that sometimes. I like to have many windows open and I'm like, wait, how did I get here? I have to like go back and be like, wait, I'm here. No, I like read an email and it takes me here and it takes me here. And then I have to be like, wait a second. I got to go back, taking all your notifications off your phones, really knowing that, I'm not really into time blocking, but I'll take, okay, this hour, I'm going to really focus on this. So phones are off, Facebook is off, everything's off. I'm going to record or I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, and really have that because it's surprising how fast text messaging can take us away. All the notifications on our phones are meant to literally distract us. So if you are more neurodivergent and tend to be kind of squirrel, your dog and you see a squirrel and you go off and you go off and you go off, that can be, I don't like the word detrimental, but that will not make you feel like you got as much done. And so that's kind of a bit of that time boundary. When we have our clients, kind of instill this, they're like surprised at how much more they get done and how much clearer they are. So that's kind of the time management part. Katie, let's go into for our clients that are, one-to-one or you have a clinic or you're really wanting to expand. What does that look like? The beyond, that was kind of the basics. If you're having time issues or you're feeling like I always shift when I say I don't have enough time. I actually say, wait a second, I have all the time I need. And what's it going to take to really get clear on how to spend my time?
Yeah.
So many people say, oh, I don't have enough time. I'm so busy. I don't have enough time. I start to shift the words I'm saying. That does really help too. And Katie, now what are some ways that our clinicians, entrepreneurs can start to say, what is that like outside way to make even more money when I'm talking about this time for money model?
Yeah. So this is going to say like we're transcending time for money, like you just said, right?
Yep.
So it's important to notice this because a lot of service providers and entrepreneurs get stuck in the fee for service model where you're in front of a person and you're utilizing your time and you're getting paid based on the time that you're doing. And this actually tends to ceiling people pretty quickly, especially if you're busy. Maybe you're a solopreneur. You started out a solopreneur, meaning that you just had you and you created a job for yourself, which was kind of under the umbrella of our business. But there are ways that we want to help you as listeners to start to transcend that model because although that model can be lucrative, it is also very limiting. And if you're like us, where we want freedom in our life and we don't want to just trade time for money for every service that we provide, of course, we want to provide good service and get money for it. But we're talking about things like hiring team members, right? So this can transcend time for money model. When I hired my first team member and I made money outside of myself, I was like, wow, this can happen. Like, this can happen. It started to shift my dynamic of the way that I saw my business, not actually outside of me. It changed it ultimately. So when I say this, it's also important to say, well, if that's not the business model I want. So if you want that business model and you want to hire people, it's only one way. You don't have to only do it that way. You don't have to build a clinic virtual or online and then hire people underneath you that are, the same methodologies or different methodologies. This is just one way of doing it. And then another way is going to be a way that we love to talk about too as well is creating digital products or programs that are capsulized right in time where you can actually record something like this is not like a digital product, but we recorded this in May 2024. So if you're listening to
Right.
it in next year, it's a capsulized thing. Like it's going to ripple
Yep.
for us. And you can do this with digital assets and digital courses or digital programs, whether they're completely hands off and they're in a space where people can access them, or they are live courses, right? You're creating live courses, which you're going to trade a little bit more time for money. But if they're groups, they're going to transcend that model. And then another way, right, is creating physical products, especially if you are in a clinic or a health and wellness entrepreneur, or I mean, even anybody can create this, right? A product that you're going to sell that somebody's going to buy on a site, on even your site that you put it on, whatever it is, wherever you house it, even Amazon, like wherever you want to put it. And it's going to sell outside of you. That's another way to transcend time for money model.
We're such digital product geeks. I never thought going to naturopathic school, becoming an acupuncturist, that I would be so damn excited to have products that people could buy that are done.
Yeah.
Like, and also to provide, I also feel this very much with my VIP clients because I have specific digital products that I feel less kind of pulled on because they might be moving through something or having a lot of grief. Maybe they're a family member that, has passed, or they're going through frustration. I can say to myself, great. And then I say, I have specific meditations or activations, however you want to call it, that they can then go listen to. And then I say, go listen to this and let's work through this and then come back to me. And it's like the relief that creates in my business is huge. The ripples of that is like the gifting and having these tools that contribute so much, right? It's like digital products for me I love them because I personally love to create them, and also how it contributes to my current clients, my clients in the past. Just even I think every time you create something, it adds to the world, right? Whether or not a million people buy it, it's like the creation of it is really important. And you learn more about you too as you create these. It's like bringing your magic to the world in these different ways. So it's fascinating to be, here you might be driving and you're like, I only have a clinic. But down the road, you might be like, wow, what would I create that's my magic that I could start gifting or having my clients pay as well, right? So my VIP clients, they are obviously already pay for these access to these, but then someone else could say, hey, I'm really stuck here and I can't afford to work with you. What could I do? And I love saying, hey, here's $100 product that is completely life-changing. Start here.
Yes.
That's huge. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we could also talk about even creating, like, even if you're like, well, I don't really want to do groups and I don't want to do digital products, right? There's another option here too, as well, where you actually create a program based on almost like experience or results. So there you can create almost a container. Wait, I don't really love that word, but a model, a program that people go through, and it can be one-on-one, but there's a exchange outside of money. So say you create a program that's $10,000, you create a program that's $25,000, you create a program that's $100,000, and within that model is included these things. Well, I write this, I do this for you, it's done for you, it's done with you. And you can actually create this. And you actually can do this inside of a clinic too, as well, whether it's a virtual or online, where they go through a program and they're paying for the entire program versus every little thing. Each time they show up,
Yeah.
they're paying a fee for service. And that actually is transcending time for money, because they're paying for the results or the experience on the other side of that, not sitting down with you, adjusting their back every time, or, sticking needles in them, or sitting down and doing their dietary guidelines or detoxing them, or, even like lawyers, like writing up a will for them. Like it can be anything. You could say, like, here's your pack. This is what I do for you. And this is the experience or results that you get. So that is another way to transcend time for money.
Yeah. And all of those are awesome. They like make me excited. I'm like, oh yeah, that's something actually, Katie, I love that. We're so good at helping clients get really clear on like what is that they're really here to do. So I think that ability, all those other ways are so liberating. And to watch a client, that it's only them, they only have one room, they start to imagine, oh, I could do really streamlining their service, and then being like, wow, I could have 3 rooms and I could hire somebody, and I could start to imagine, 3 to 400K in my clinic, or 5, it's like that whole process is amazing. I think of that as just like being liberated, right? It's like this idea here, Katie and I are both clinicians, but this idea to kind of out create the programming or the system that we might have been birthed into through the, whatever school programming we did.
Institutions. Yeah.
Yeah, institutionalized, and it really is so cool because we all have our own magic that we are really here to bring to people. And whatever, again, there's no right or wrong way. Find one that lights you up and be like, yeah, like I have one right now that I'm like, whoa, that's kind of blowing my mind. It could be a live program, and it could be packaged and like very sweetly sent as an affiliate to other places. And it's like, that to me is, how cool is that? To start to, it's like thinking beyond the box. I did this when I was in the clinic. I was like, there's so much more than this. And I'd be like, what else is possible? I'm like, how do I get past these clinic walls? And like, I just knew that like there was something else, and you can be in the clinic and build something else. Or you can just be on, like, there's so many different ways. There's not just one way. I personally love a combination of ways, because then you're really opening the streams of revenue to flow to you. And with your ideas, the more things you got, not like, we don't want millions and millions of things, but it really does help your creative flow as well. So,
yes. So I hope that gives you a little bit of ideas of how to start to transcend and also get a hold, right? Like a good hold of your boundaries around time, because without the boundaries, you ain't going to transcend time for money anyways. So start to think about what that is for you, and you can actually start to even set those things into place so you get a better handle and a better hold, and almost like, I don't want to use the word control, but you have more value around your time. So I hope that was helpful, and we will see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Dreams to Dollars podcast. If you vibe with our content and want to find out how to work with us, check out our show notes for the links.